The cafeteria was nearly empty at 2 p.m., that dead zone between lunch rush and dinner prep when the fluorescent lights seemed harsher and the silence felt almost sacred. Captain Sarah Mitchell stood in the doorway, her crutch pressed firmly under her right arm, her left pant leg pinned up just below the knee. The smell of industrial cleaner mixed with the lingering scent of fried food made her stomach turn, though she couldn't tell if it was the odor or the anxiety that had been her constant companion for the past 8 months. She'd been standing there for 3 minutes, frozen, staring at the rows of empty tables. This shouldn't be hard. It was just a cafeteria. Just lunch. But everything was hard now, wasn't it? Everything required calculation, courage, the kind of mental preparation that used to be reserved for combat missions, not eating a sandwich in public. An older man in navy blue coveralls was methodically wiping down tables in the far corner, his movements unhurried and thorough. He had to be in his 70s, with silver hair cropped close to his skull and the kind of weathered face that suggested a life lived outdoors. Something about his presence felt safe, undemanding. Sarah forced herself forward, each movement of her crutch echoing in the cavernous room. She made her way toward his corner, choosing a table 2 down from where he was working. She could feel his eyes on her briefly, then respectfully away. She appreciated that. She hated the stares, but she also hated being invisible. It was a paradox she hadn't figured out how to resolve. She set down her tray, a sad collection of a turkey sandwich, apple slices, and water. The physical therapist said she needed to eat more, needed to rebuild her strength. But food felt like ash in her mouth most days. She maneuvered herself into the chair, propping her crutch against the table's edge, hyper-aware of how it might slip, how she might fall, how everyone might see. Except there was no everyone. Just her and the janitor. She unwrapped her sandwich with shaking hands, took a bite she didn't taste, and stared at the wall. This was her life now. 28 years old, decorated combat officer, reduced to being afraid of a hospital cafeteria. The irony would be funny if it didn't make her want to scream. "Can I share this table?" Sarah's head snapped up. The janitor stood a respectful distance away, holding his own brown paper bag, his kind eyes asking permission without any trace of pity. That was what made her nod. The absence of pity. He sat down across from her, not beside her, giving her space. He pulled out a sandwich wrapped in wax paper, an orange, and a thermos. The movements were practiced, comfortable. For a long moment, they sat in companionable silence. "You don't have to sit with me because you feel sorry for me," Sarah said finally, her voice sharper than she intended. "I know I'm pathetic, eating alone in an empty cafeteria, but I don't need a pity party." The old man looked at her steadily, took a bite of his sandwich, chewed thoughtfully. "I don't feel sorry for you," he said simply. "I sit here every day at this time. Have for 12 years. You're in my spot." Despite herself, Sarah felt her lips twitch. Almost a smile. "Your spot. My spot." He unscrewed his thermos, and the smell of coffee, real coffee, filled the space between them. "Best table in the house. You can see both doors, your back's to the wall, and the afternoon sun comes through that window just right." He gestured with his chin. Tactical advantage. Something in Sarah's chest loosened slightly. "You sound military." "Marines. Vietnam. Long time ago now." He took a sip of coffee. "Name's Frank Delgado. Sarah Mitchell. Army. Afghanistan." She paused. "Also a long time ago now. Or feels like it." 8 months. Frank asked, nodding toward her leg. "How did you? The way you moved. The calculations in your head before each step. The hypervigilance." He said it matter-of-factly, without drama. "And you've got that look. The one that says you're surprised you survived but not entirely happy about it." Sarah felt tears prick her eyes, fought them back viciously. "You don't know anything about me." "No," Frank agreed. "I don't. But I know that look. Wore it myself for about 15 years. She wanted to leave. Wanted to grab her crutch and her tray and hobble away from this conversation, from this knowing stranger who saw too much. But she also wanted, desperately, to not be alone with her thoughts. So she stayed. IED, she heard herself say. "We were on patrol. Routine. Routine." She laughed bitterly. "There's no such thing as routine, but we told ourselves there was. Had to, or we'd never leave the base. I was the commanding officer. 22 soldiers under my command. My responsibility." Frank ate his orange, peeling it carefully, saying nothing. We missed it. I missed it. Led them right to it. Her voice cracked. 3 dead. 7 wounded. Me somewhere in between. And you think it's your fault, Frank said. Not a question. It is my fault. I was the officer. I made the call. And if you'd taken a different route, one of 12 other possible routes, any of which might have had IEDs of their own. Frank's voice was gentle but firm. That's the hell of it, isn't it? The infinite what-ifs. The timeline you create in your head where you made the perfect call, saw the invisible, saved everyone. That timeline doesn't exist, Sarah. It never did. They trusted me. Sarah's voice was barely a whisper now. And you trusted your training, your intelligence, your instincts. You made the best decision you could with the information you had. That's all any of us can do. He paused. The ones who died, would they blame you? Sarah thought of Martinez, who'd been joking about his daughter's quinceañera 5 minutes before the explosion. Thompson, who'd shared his protein bars with everyone. Jackson, the quiet one who wrote poetry no one knew about until they found his journal. No, she admitted. They wouldn't. Then why are you doing it to yourself? Because someone has to. The words burst out of her, raw and ragged. Someone has to be accountable. Someone has to carry it. You're right, Frank said, and his agreement shocked her into silence. Someone does have to carry it. That's the weight of command, of decisions, of being human. But there's a difference between carrying something and letting it crush you. Between remembering and being buried alive. Sarah wiped her eyes roughly with her napkin. How did you do it? How did you get past it? Frank was quiet for a long moment, staring at his hands. Hands that shook slightly, Sarah noticed. I didn't, for a long time. Came home from Vietnam to people spitting on me, calling me baby killer. Couldn't hold a job. Couldn't stay sober. Lost my wife, my kids. Lived on the streets for 3 years. He looked up, meeting her eyes. Hit bottom so hard I bounced. What changed? Another veteran found me sleeping under a bridge. Older guy, World War II. He bought me breakfast, didn't say much, just told me there was a group that met on Tuesday nights if I wanted to come. I told him to go to hell. Frank smiled slightly. He came back the next week. And the week after that. Finally wore me down. That group saved my life. Or rather, the other people in it did. Helped me see that I wasn't alone. That other people carried weight too. That together, we could carry each other. I go to therapy, Sarah said. The VA assigned me someone. She's nice. It doesn't help. Nice isn't the same as understanding. And one person, even a good therapist, isn't always enough. Frank pulled a card from his pocket, slid it across the table. We meet Thursdays now. Different people, same purpose. Some Vietnam, some Gulf War, Iraq, Afghanistan. Some soldiers, some not. All carrying something heavy. Sarah looked at the card without picking it up. I don't know if I'm ready. Nobody's ever ready. That's not how it works. You just show up. And then you show up again. And one day you realize you're carrying the weight differently. It doesn't go away, Sarah. I'm 73 years old, and I still have nightmares about Khe Sanh. Still see faces of people who didn't come home. But I also see sunrises now. Taste my coffee. Love my grandkids. The weight is still there, but it's not everything anymore. I can't even imagine that, Sarah whispered. That's okay. I couldn't either, at first. But here's what I need you to hear. Frank leaned forward, his voice intense. Those soldiers who died, they don't want you to waste the life you have left. They don't want their last mission to be destroying their commanding officer. Honor them by healing. Honor them by finding a way forward. Sarah felt something crack open inside her chest, something that had been locked tight since the explosion. Tears came then, real ones, and she didn't try to stop them. Frank handed her a clean napkin, said nothing, just waited. When she could speak again, Sarah asked, "Why are you a janitor here?" At the VA hospital. Frank smiled, really smiled. Because I needed a reason to get up in the morning. Because I wanted to be where I could see other veterans, be present for them the way that World War II vet was present for me. Because it's honest work that keeps me moving, keeps me connected. I'm not just a janitor, Sarah. I'm a 73-year-old Marine who found his mission again. It looks different than it did in Vietnam, but it's still a mission. What is it? Bearing witness. Being present. Showing up. Sometimes that's sharing a table with a young soldier who's afraid of a cafeteria. His eyes were warm. Sometimes it's just being the guy who knows the best table in the house. For the first time in 8